And I want to bring on one of my favorite amigos, and that is Jacqueline Lucci Smith, who has been the candidate for Republican county attorney in Harris County. Jacqueline, we've got a subject, and it's sensitive, but what we've heard this week is that Anise Parker is planning a surprise in October. Okay, this does not involve your candidacy; it does involve somebody else's, but there was apparently a court case that's in federal court that is apparently documented, and Anise Parker, who is the presumptive, in her mind at least, county judge candidate, okay, for the Democrats, is out there saying she's going to talk about this. So, Jackie, I wanted to bring you on because you've been our nominee and you've been unopposed for county attorney, and this is the type of stuff you'd have to handle anyway in your job. So, Jacqueline, would you take it from there?
Sure, Paul. Thanks for having me on. And I'm happy to inform the voters, which is really my purpose today. There was a court case. There was an accusation against Marty Lancton, who's running for Harris County judge, and he's received a lot of support from the Republican Party. He's got a lot of endorsements from within the party. And I'm not here to list them all or point fingers, just to acknowledge that I don't know that everybody was aware of this underlying issue, but the accusations are very egregious. Now, what makes this case a little different than other allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct is that this one actually had a lawsuit filed after the complainant went to the EEOC commission and filed her complaint and received a notice of approval to file suit. So she had to go before the EEOC commission and establish enough evidence to get permission to file the lawsuit. And then she filed the lawsuit. And so all of the allegations contained in that petition are a matter of public record. And it gives Anise Parker more leverage than if somebody had just said, oh, yeah, he sexually harassed me on the job and I can come talk about it, like they did to all of our Supreme Court nominees, Brett Kavanaugh, Clarence Thomas, et cetera, where they come out of the woodwork after decades and make wild accusations. This one was timely. It was within the statute of limitations, and then it was actually filed as a lawsuit.
Right.
So it's my understanding that Anise Parker has not only the lawsuit, she has some other information from other firefighters that were present during some of this that found it appalling, according to them and the statements they made. And so she is planning to attack the entire Republican ticket for supporting him after these allegations were made known to them. And so we are going to have a very tough time on our ticket in November in the general election if we have an October surprise that calls out our party for not policing our own brass.
Now, first off, I just want to make it clear, Mr. Lancton has, carte blanche to call in now or any time to talk about this. But
absolutely.
Right.
In fact, I encourage him to answer the voters' questions and to put it front and center and not just say, oh, gosh, the case was dismissed, so it's not a big deal, because it's again, we've had people with just allegations get knocked off tickets that didn't ever have a case filed.
Jackie,
so
Eric Andel, I see your point. The pushback will be, why didn't y'all do something about this? You knew, I'm making this narrative up, but you knew something about it. Your party knew something about it. Why didn't you do something about it?
No, that's exactly what she's saying.
Yeah, tattoo you with that.
That's my point.
Yeah,
that is exactly my point.
But I don't know how you...
Why do I think Eric's not trying to do us any favors here?
No, I'm not. This is something I didn't even know about. So
okay.
I'm just
now,
asking.
Jackie, so this is Jacqueline Lucci Smith, longtime former judge, county employee, now running for county attorney. Jacqueline, so if somebody goes to the federal court, they're going to see a lawsuit that was filed after an EEOC complaint. They're going to see a lot of information that's already out there, okay? And basically, this firefighter has, at least in the pleadings, has documented some of what more than the allegation. They've documented what happened with witnesses, and this case was settled it was not dismissed. Is that an accurate statement?
It appears to have been settled and dismissed, but because I never like to believe this about anyone. I mean, when the allegations are this serious, I never like to just believe it. So I called the attorneys of record to find out, was it dismissed? What happened? Can you? And neither of them could talk about it, which to me indicates, I'm assuming, and so I don't want to say that it's 100% accurate, but there may be a non-disclosure agreement in place. But the only thing that was signed was a notice of dismissal by agreement of the parties, but it was not just a notice of dismissal without prejudice, it was with prejudice. And Eric can talk to this. Typically, if it's with prejudice, it's because the case is fully resolved.
Correct.
And that
or they felt there was not enough evidence to proceed, which doesn't seem likely. But yes, it's over now. With prejudice,
right.
It's over. That's correct.
Correct. And there's not been a judgment or a finding, and I want to make that clear. I mean,
Right.
There's not a judgment against Mr. Langton, and I'm not here to say whether it happened or not. I wasn't there. It happened in 2016, and the suit was filed in 2018. So it's not that far removed, but it's not like it happened yesterday either. So.
All right. Well, great. Well, good. And all right, good, because I think we'll have Mr. Langton calling in here in a second.
I certainly hope so, because I really do. I'm curious to hear his side of things, because so far he has not been able to. He hasn't responded, from what I understand, to the questions. But the big thing is that I just think voters need to consider whether this is something that that they should consider when they go into the voting box, because it's information that could affect the entire ticket.
Well, and that's what we do here, is tell everybody what we've heard, and the fact that Anise Parker's talking about this all over town. Take it away. And Marty, let's go. Marty Lancton. Thanks for calling in, Marty.
Greetings, Marty.
Hey, no problem, Senator Betancourt. How you guys doing this evening?
Thank you,
We're
Bob.
peachy.
Hey, Marty, thanks for calling. Now, we've got a situation where we've laid this out, and I know you're listening, where we've got now Anise Parker claiming basically all over town, and we've heard it from multiple sources, that she's got an October surprise. It's you. It's this court case. Okay, I know. And so when we have that type of stuff, and she's also she's threatening the Republicans if somebody doesn't talk about it. So we're going to talk about it, and that way you can get your. I mean, this is this is life in dual primaries, Marty. Okay, so take it away.
Yeah,
you heard
well,
Jacqueline. You heard the center stripe description of what happened, 2016 case. So take it.
Yeah, it's always good and interesting during election season when people, first of all, are scared of the Democrats. So let me be crystal clear. I'm not scared of Anise Parker, and I think she's scared of me. In fact, what's interesting the most is that I've gotten calls from many people that Anise has called them and said he's working with Orlando Sanchez. So, I mean, I think that's problematic to begin with. But let's get to the point here. Anybody that's ever known me has known that I always tell people, you always tell the truth, and the truth matters in the end. So let's be crystal clear about this. There was never a settlement. There was never a payment. And there is a world where, this has been answered. This has been asked repeatedly over the last 10 years. And that is exactly the point. And Republicans should expect better from people trying to smear people's name and to drag them through the mud. Now, I expect Democrats to do it, but that's a Democrat playbook. So let's just make sure that what we're doing is telling the truth, and make sure that and how we address things. Because in being in charge of a 4,000-member organization, I'm going to tell you, I see about at least 300 to 400 different complaints, grievances, lawsuits a year, dealing with all sorts of things. And people can say whatever they want in a pleading, but the reality is that you have to look at how it ends, but also an educational piece for those that want to know the truth. In federal court, if you file something, you actually cannot dismiss it. If you look at the federal rules of civil procedure, you have to ask the other side whether or not they'll be willing to drop it. And with prejudice means it can never get filed or brought up again. And that was based on the evidence, and that was based on the truth. So there is a lot of other responsibilities people have as leaders. And the responsibility that I have as the president of the Houston Firefighters is to protect the people that work there and the people that were being harassed, that were being treated the very thing that others are claiming, is exactly who I stood up for. And in fact, that was the year that I was elected and took on an internal corrupt administration who was doing the very things that they're claiming. And so when you speak truth to power, a lot of people don't like it. But I can tell you this. When I took over the organization, it was a disaster. There was no money. Previous administrations had wiped everything clean. They had done a number of things. And what I told people very clearly is that when you come into leadership, you have to make sure that everything you're doing is based upon principles and ethics, and that's exactly what I've done. So, it's always good fodder, but I'll tell you, if Sylvester Turner, the previous mayor of the city of Houston, if you look at the timelines in the history of everything that has gone on, my record is impeccable. And for somebody to choose to try to smear anybody's name is just showing you how sad it really is, or somebody's campaign. Focus on what it is that you're supposed to do as a leader. And if people truly want to know, they should watch every public statement that has been made. That has been
and Marty, and that's
clear.
what you're doing here. Okay, so that's why it's important. Ben.
Yeah, Marty, Ben Strusian, thanks for joining us on the Voice of Texas. I wanted to ask you, look, I can understand, because anybody in a leadership role or anybody running a large organization is going to get shot at. I mean, that's just par for the course. You're going to, irritate somebody or make somebody mad, and you're going to end up in, various cases and that type of thing. So I wanted to ask you, to the extent possible, to explain as best you can what the situation is and the circumstances were, around what they're alleging. Quite frankly, I have no idea. I just,
yeah,
I
well,
mean,
you,
if someone
you
wants
and,
to put
you
a
and
document
me,
in front of
you
me,
and
I'll read
either.
it. Yeah, I'm
well,
waiting.
Here's you can talk about what somebody writes in a pleading, but you got to look at the facts. So I can tell you that not only have three independent have all come to the conclusion, and especially in federal court, there is absolutely baseless, and it absolutely had zero merit, didn't happen. In fact, I'm the person that stood up and said that this is not tolerated in the office, and the people that were in leadership positions at the time were the very people I ran against for this very reason. I stand on fairness, I stand on transparency, and I stand on making sure that we treat people the way that we want to be treated. And I can tell you, I can't tell you how many lawsuits that I've had to deal with based on the Democrats and them attacking the firefighters and the brave men and women. But, this is not something that I ever take lightly. And it's not something that I tell people, you have to have pretty thick skin. People can say whatever they want, but facts and truth matter in the end.
Marty, Eric Andel, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, because the non-suit, interesting, and it is accurate. The non-suit with prejudice, there was an inference that there was an agreement based upon that.
Yep.
But in fact, that was an implication. But the truth is, what you're telling us, it was non-suited, and it takes the defendant,
correct,
the plaintiff, to be able to do that. So there was no
a
finding and no evidence. It was just a non-suit, a plain one sentence non-suit with prejudice. Was there any findings?
There's nothing, because the evidence spoke for itself. And I will tell you that when you ask the other side, we have been made very clear. Listen, me and my family have taken personal attacks. We have taken attack after attack, and a lot of it has come from unscrupulous people. And I'll tell you, I have never looked at somebody and said that the values that they have are the values that I have. And I stand on the truth. I stand on principles, and we'll continue to do it, because
Marty,
that's what people deserve.
Yeah, Marty. So now there was an EEOC complaint that was filed.
Yes,
right,
and it was denied.
Okay, and then there was a suit that was filed. Okay. And
in order to get to federal court, you have to go to the EEOC. Everybody gets a right to sue letters.
Right, because you have to exhaust your administrative remedy. Right? Is that how this works?
Correct.
Right. Okay. And so that court case is what Anise is claiming is her bona fide, or is she claiming the EEOC? Because this news is all over town, Marty. So I'm very happy that you called in. Right.
Well, Sylvester tried this, but again, anybody with the ability to look at something with objective truth and reality, and every single news outlet has said the same thing. I have always been an open book. I have never been the person that believes that you hide from anything. I can't stop what people do to try to attack, but what I can do is ensure that the way we're acting and what we're doing is completely in line with the principles and ethics that we swore an oath to protect.
All right, Marty. Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for your comments.
Clarification,
Right.
Non-suited with the prejudice.
And
Which
right-
means they can't refile.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And so we'll see what Anise Parker's next October's or her revision to her October surprise is. I'm sure we'll hear about it shortly here on The Voice of Texas. So thanks for calling in.